Hi guys, it is Wednesday and it's 10:30 here in LA, so it is time for Teacher Space, which I really enjoyed doing. And I feel it's extra special this week because Saturday is Pilates Day. Hopefully, you guys are joining us. There's 6 instructors that we are having a international mat class from Cyprus to Illinois to North Carolina, here, Italy, so fun. DM me, I'll put the link up again. But anyway, so with it being that Pilates Day week, we're gonna hit the reformer today to look at overhead. So overhead prep and overhead. So overhead is one of those that I feel sometimes is like jackknife. It is jackknife, it's jackknife and rollover. But one of those ones where people kind of power through, they get lost. And if you can rein them in a little bit, it becomes more challenging and harder. And they get stronger so that then eventually they get that bigger range, but firing on everything you want and all those connections. So like I said, it's your jackknife and your rollover. You go into the rollover and you jackknife up. What I see happen, and I'm sure you all have seen it, my cueing for that is a lot of the back of the head and the wrists and the arms. I think it really shows people how your arms have got to work on the mat in jackknife and rollover. I mean, I think that if you did a mat class, the next day, your triceps should be on fire just from doing the jackknife because they're so engaged, those arms. So this kind of shows with the feedback of the spring that has to happen. It's also your chest expansion, keeping that open as you bring the legs up and over, which is that cue of with the head, if the head gets lost and they kind of, go like this, then all that's gonna get lost too. So those are kind of the things I'm looking for when I teach it is what's happening with those arms? Are they getting lost? What's happening with the head? Is that getting lost? And it's the same thing on the mat. There's a little prep you can do first because we're looking like how is their mobility in their hips? How is their ability to lift their hips up? Again, using the arms as well. So we'll kind of go through first the prep because you could just keep it at the prep. Say, they don't have that ability to get those legs up and over. They don't have that hip mobility to where they could actually be kind of in that position, right? So you could just keep it at the prep. So I'm on a Gratz, so I'm going to use 2 springs, just depending on what apparatus you are on. Of course, safety first, headrest down, and turn my watch around. So we're just going to do the prep first. So if you went through the reformer, traditionally it would be your footwork, then your 100, then you come into the overhead prep. And some people would be like, oh my gosh, I'm already lifting my hips up. Well, you've had the push with the footwork. You've had that connection of the front line, the connection of the back line. You've had your 100 really reaching now and lengthening and lifting the legs, right? So they've already lifted their legs. So the prep is when you can just check to see how are things gonna be with them bringing their legs up to that 90 degree. Because if they can't do the 90 degree, they're not gonna be able to go into this position. So holding tight to your handles or loops, legs reaching, we're gonna think back to that 100. You're gonna hold tightly, keep the back of the head connected, reach those legs away, and then just reach the arms and press and reach. So I'm not just pushing down, but I'm reaching towards my foot bar, and the legs are coming up towards the sky. And then you're gonna keep reaching those legs, punching into the arms, and bringing it all the way back down. So that's a lot of work, and that could be it for somebody. Because maybe they don't have that hip mobility or hamstrings are super tight or something like that. And maybe for them, all they can do is kind of bring the legs up to here, right? They can't get that last little bit. And that's okay. Maybe just do a few of those and move on. So then I'm gonna do the overhead with kind of the things you don't wanna see. So a lot of times people will get lost in the arms and they just kind of come up, arms are lost, whatever. They're just kind of powering through. But what you want to make sure is you're looking to see if those wrists are really lengthened and long and not so-called tenting. And so we want those arms really working. So before the hips even lift up, those arms need that connection. And then from there, they'll go into that rollover and then jackknife up where they can. Keep those arms reaching, and you're just trying to touch the sky as you roll back down without losing the back of the head here and without losing those arms. So I'll just show you one more, up and over, reaching the legs where they can, and down. And that's another thing I like to say is, maybe their rollover is smaller, maybe their jackknife is smaller, because the minute they lose those wrists, I might say to them, great, let's do it again, and let's just rein it in a little bit. I don't tell them, oh my gosh, your wrists were breaking, your head was coming up, but maybe just, hey, let's try it maybe a third of what you did or half of what you did. And it's going to be harder because they're going to have to keep that connection. So maybe for someone, it's a much smaller, and I'm going to use this word for Joel, expression of the exercise. I hope he appreciates that. So maybe they just kind of do this little rollover and then they kind of come down. Or maybe they go into a rollover and it's just a little jackknife. Whatever that is for their body that day is what you want to cue. So you can break it down that way, just the overhead prep. You can see where they go and let them do one or two and then see, and then kind of maybe cue if their wrist broke and you kind of saw it was about halfway up, and just say, we do about half of that effort and really focus on this part. Or if their legs just kind of fling and flop, let's just do half and really focus on this and that. And then it reins them in. They're working harder. It's getting them into those connections of where you want them. I feel I'm really short down here, so I'm gonna kneel. Of where you want them to be, and just building it. And then when you take them to the mat to do jackknife, you can then refer back to the reformer and say, hey, remember when you had the handles on the straps and you were firing into them? Use that, reach that. And same with the rollover, use those cues to get them connected into those arms. Overhead is awesome, and it does come super early in the work. And some people are like, oh my gosh, but you're seeing a lot in that moment. You're seeing the arms connected, you're seeing the hip mobility, can they lift themselves up, and just so much to explore, and then kind of go through the work with it and see where they go. So overhead prep, keeping it there is an awesome, awesome, awesome tool, and you can use it throughout. I like the cue of reaching for the ceiling the whole time as they're coming down so their legs don't flop in their face. So anyway, that was controlled back. No, it wasn't. Oh my gosh. I need to get out of this shelter at home. It's making my brain freeze. Yes, it was overhead prep. So if you are going to join us, Saturday, May 2nd is Pilates Day. Myself, Joanne Grazer, Carrie Pages, please don't let me forget somebody, Jolita Trahan, Benjamin Degenhart, Claire Sparrow, that's it. So we're all leading you through a mat class. It'll be super fun. They sold out within 2 days, but Joanne got more room in the virtual room. Yay, Melissa, I'll see you Saturday. So it'll be fun. I'm actually starting it off. It'll be 7 a.m. my time, so God help you with whatever I cue you, but luckily it's just the beginning of the mat, so hopefully I'll be okay. But I may be a little sleepy. I'll try to have coffee before. Anyway, enjoy your week. thanks for you know who asking for this exercise. And if you want to see one on any of the apparatus next Wednesday, just DM me. Okay, guys. Bye. Bye, Melissa. I'll see you Saturday.